There's something powerful that happens when a queen heals. It's not just her tears that dry up, it's her frequency that changes. She walks different, talks different, dreams different. Why? Because healing realigns her with heaven's rhythm. You see, life may have tried to rob you of your crown through betrayal, through loss, through trauma that tried to silence your roar. But the truth is, healing didn't make you weaker, it made you sharper, stronger, spiritually dangerous. A healed queen doesn't chase approval, she walks in divine authority. She doesn't beg for seats at tables where she once begged for crumbs. She builds her own table, and when she speaks, rooms shift. Why? Because she now emits a frequency of freedom, grace, power. You're not here just to survive pain, you're here to transform through it. Your healing journey is the classroom where your royalty is refined, every scar a testimony, every tear a seed. And now that you're healed, the same voice that trembled in pain can command in purpose. And let me tell you something, when your frequency changes, your circle will too. Don't be surprised when people fall off. That's not rejection, that's refinement. Healing pulls you out of rooms you've outgrown so you can walk into rooms you were born to rule. So queen, don't play small, don't shrink back. You've been through too much to dim now. You've healed too deeply to lower your frequency for comfort zones that were killing your calling. Your healed self is not selfish, it's strategic. Because when you rise, others rise. When you speak truth, chains fall off, not just for you, but for everyone connected to you. A healed queen doesn't just inspire, she activates. Now go and emit that new frequency. The world has been waiting for you. Healing is not just about feeling better, it's about becoming different. When a queen begins the process of true, deep spiritual healing, something extraordinary happens beyond what the natural eye can see. There's a shift, not just in her emotions, not just in her thoughts, but in the spiritual frequency she carries. She starts to radiate something new. She emits a vibration that no longer aligns with brokenness, confusion, or fear. Instead, she starts to operate in wholeness, peace, and divine clarity. That's what it means to say her spiritual signature changes. Every person, knowingly or unknowingly, operates at a certain spiritual frequency. It's the unspoken energy they give off. It's the reason you can walk into a room and feel a heaviness, because someone there is carrying unresolved pain. It's also the reason someone can smile at you and suddenly your spirit feels lifted. They're carrying peace, and peace can be felt. In the same way, when a woman heals, she begins to operate from a place of alignment with her Creator. Her spirit is no longer entangled with the residue of past trauma. Her energy is no longer chained to shame. Her aura begins to reflect heaven, and that can't be faked. That can't be mimicked. It can only come through process. Healing is a holy reprogramming. It's God peeling back the lies spoken over you, lies that said you weren't enough, that you were broken beyond repair, that your worth depended on who accepted or rejected you. And with each layer he removes, your spirit starts to breathe again. You begin to remember who you really are. You remember that you were never created to beg, to chase, to shrink. You were born royal. And when your soul embraces that truth, not just in your head, but in your heart, your frequency elevates. Suddenly, the things you used to attract, dysfunctional relationships, manipulative friendships, toxic environments, no longer have access to you. Not because you're better than anyone, but because your healed self is no longer in resonance with dysfunction. You're no longer magnetized to what matches your wounds. You now attract what honors your healing. That's spiritual science. That's kingdom alignment. That's divine identity being restored. People will start to respond to you differently, and they won't even know why. Opportunities that were once blocked will begin to flow. Doors will open not because you forced them, but because your spirit is now a key. A healed queen doesn't have to strive, she just has to be. She walks into rooms and shifts the atmosphere because her presence is now a reflection of the healing she's allowed God to do inside of her. Her new frequency becomes a weapon against doubt, against fear, against every generational curse that tried to keep her bound. It's important to understand this. Healing is not just about emotional wellness. It's about spiritual recalibration. It's about coming into agreement with heaven's blueprint for your life. When you heal, you realign with your original design. You stop reacting from wounds and start responding from wisdom. You stop surviving and start leading. And when a queen leads from a healed place, her legacy shifts. Her children walk lighter. Her relationships deepen. her vision sharpens. Her prayers hit different. So don't despise the process. Don't rush the journey. Let the healing flow, even when it's messy. Let the tears come. Let the truth confront. Let the silence teach. Because on the other side of that healing is a version of you the world desperately needs. She's not just whole, she's powerful. And when she walks, heaven moves. Because her frequency has changed, and now everything connected to her will too. Pain never shows up in your life without permission. It doesn't come to destroy you, even though it may feel like it. It comes to awaken you, to reroute you, to prepare you. Pain, though unwanted and often misunderstood, is one of the greatest tools of transformation in the hands of God. When a queen is in the middle of her storm, it's easy to believe she's being punished, overlooked, or abandoned. But what if the very thing that was meant to break her was actually the thing being used to build her? What if the tears, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the silence were not setbacks but setups? What if pain was never the end but the beginning of divine purpose? See, many people look at pain as the enemy, but pain, when surrendered to God, becomes a teacher. It reveals what was hidden. It breaks what needed to be broken. It exposes the cracks and foundations that were never meant to carry you. The places where you compromised your worth. The spaces where you settled for survival instead of walking in your calling. Pain confronts you with truth. Not to hurt you, but to free you. And in that confrontation, your purpose begins to rise. Think about it, some of your deepest moments of growth didn't come when life was easy. They came when you were on your knees, when you had nothing left but faith, when you couldn't see a way out, but something inside you refused to give up. That was purpose being birthed in pressure, because diamonds don't form without pressure. Oil doesn't flow without crushing. And queens don't rise without fire. The same fire that tried to consume you was actually purifying you, stripping off the lies, burning away the insecurity, releasing you from false identities that trauma tried to plant in your soul. You may not have chosen the pain, but you can choose what to do with it. You can choose to let it define you, or you can choose to let it refine you. Purpose is often hidden in the places we try to hide, the places we were ashamed of. But when healing comes and you begin to see your story through God's eyes, something shifts. You begin to understand that nothing was wasted. Not a single moment, not a single tear. It was all used to prepare you for the platform, the position, the power that was already written in your destiny. What tried to bury you actually planted you. Some of the greatest queens were forged in silence, in seasons where no one saw them, where the pain was private and the battles were invisible. But God saw, and heaven took notes. Every act of faith in the dark was a seed. Every time you forgave when it hurt. Every time you loved when you were bleeding. Every time you kept going when quitting seemed easier. Those moments built your spiritual authority. That's why when you walk into certain spaces now, you don't have to prove yourself. You've been through the fire. You carry a weight that only pain can produce. You carry purpose. Your pain is your passport, not your prison. It's what qualifies you to speak with power, to lead with empathy, to walk into rooms and shift atmospheres not because you read about healing, but because you lived it. Purpose is not polished, it's raw, it's real, and it's born out of the moments that felt like the end. But now you see it was only the beginning. So queen, don't curse your process. Don't resent your scars, they are the proof that you made it. And not only did you survive, but you emerged with strategy, with wisdom. With a voice that carries oil, with a walk that carries weight. Your pain was never wasted. It was a divine setup. And now that you're stepping into your purpose, you'll realize everything that hurt you was also the thing that helped you. Because destiny always follows pain when it's placed in the hands of a healing God. There is a spiritual law at work in your life, whether you recognize it or not. You don't just attract what you want. You attract who you are. You attract what matches your internal frequency. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your level of healing, your emotional state, all of it sends out a signal to the world around you. And that signal, that frequency draws in relationships, opportunities, challenges, and lessons that are in alignment with it. When a queen is still carrying unresolved pain, low self-worth, or shame, it often reflects in what she continuously finds herself drawn to. Not because she's not valuable, but because her internal frequency hasn't caught up with her divine identity. But when she begins to heal, when she starts renewing her mind, when she remembers who she is in God, that frequency shifts and so does her future. People talk about manifestation, but real spiritual alignment isn't just about saying affirmations or setting goals. It's about inner transformation. When your heart is whole, when your thoughts are aligned with truth, when your spirit is anchored in identity, you naturally stop entertaining environments that are beneath your calling. You stop tolerating conversations that drain your anointing. You stop settling for love that doesn't reflect God's heart for you. Why? Because the frequency you're now operating from simply doesn't recognize dysfunction as familiar anymore. It used to feel normal, chaos cycles, trauma bonding, emotional highs and lows, but now peace feels like home. Wholeness becomes your baseline. You start to attract people and opportunities that speak to the healed version of you, not the broken one. Your future is already written in heaven, but your alignment determines how quickly you step into it. Healing accelerates destiny. It removes the static. It clears the interference. When you heal, your discernment sharpens. You don't just go where you're invited. You go where you're assigned. You don't just receive anything spoken over you. You test it in the spirit. You start walking with intentionality, and heaven responds to intentionality. The frequency of a healed queen sounds like clarity, like confidence, like compassion, and the world begins to echo back what you're putting out. Doors you once had to force now open with favor. People who once overlooked you now recognize the weight you carry, not because you've changed externally, but because you've risen internally. And yes, not everyone will understand the shift. Some will accuse you of changing, and they're right, you have. You're no longer operating from your wounds, you're operating from wisdom. You're no longer chasing validation, you're standing in your worth. That change might cost you company, but it will give you clarity. You're not losing people, you're gaining vision, and with vision comes alignment, and with alignment comes the future God intended for you all along. The truth is, every time you level up internally, your external world adjusts. As you raise your standards, set healthy boundaries, pursue your purpose, and speak from a healed place, your energy becomes a filter. It keeps out what is misaligned and draws in what is divinely designed. You don't have to beg for what's already yours. You just have to match the frequency. That means letting go of self-sabotage. That means forgiving so you can be free. That means declaring the truth over your life, even when your feelings try to deceive you. You're not waiting for the future to find you. Your healing is drawing it to you in real time, and don't be discouraged by delay. Sometimes the frequency shift takes time. There's resistance, there's pruning. But every day you choose healing, every day you choose growth, you are aligning more deeply with what is destined to be yours. The right doors, the right people, the right purpose, the right peace. It's not just coming, it's being attracted to you because you've decided to rise. So Queen, keep healing, keep evolving, keep checking your frequency. You don't need to strive or stress. Just stay in alignment because your frequency is already sending out a message. And when it matches heaven's sound, your future can't help but respond. True royalty doesn't start when you step into the palace. It starts when you recognize who you are while you're still in the pit. It's not about the crown on your head or the throne you sit on. It's about the identity that's already woven into your spirit. Too many queens are waiting for life to change before they walk in their authority. They're waiting for the relationship, the finances, the platform, the recognition, thinking that once the circumstances shift, then they'll rise. But that's not how divine identity works. Real royalty begins the moment you say yes to who you already are, even when everything around you tells you otherwise. Identity is spiritual before it's physical. It's eternal before it's circumstantial. You were royalty before the trauma, before the heartbreak, before the disappointment. The pain didn't strip it away, it just covered it for a season. Life may have tried to convince you that you're ordinary, that you're unworthy, that you're too damaged to lead. But the truth is, your identity in God was never based on what happened to you. It's based on who He created you to be from the beginning. And healing is the process of remembering the authority you carry, remembering the value you forgot, remembering that you were chosen not because of your performance, but because of your position in the kingdom. When a queen finally starts to heal, she no longer waits for her circumstances to confirm her worth. She speaks like royalty while she's still in the wilderness. She carries herself with grace even while she's rebuilding, because she understands that identity precedes manifestation. You have to believe it before you see it. You have to claim it in prayer before you walk it out in public. The enemy will always try to attack you at the level of your identity. That's why he goes after your confidence, your voice, your vision. Because he knows if he can confuse who you are, he can delay where you're going. But once you become unshakable in your identity, no attack can alter your destiny. Some of the most powerful women didn't look like royalty when they started. They were overlooked, underestimated, rejected. But they didn't let circumstance define them. They let God refine them. They said, I may not have the crown yet, but I have the calling. I may not be seated at the table yet, but I know I belong. And heaven responds to that kind of faith, because God doesn't crown those who wait to be validated. He crowns those who already know they've been chosen. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions to walk in your calling. You don't need a title to lead or a platform to speak truth. You just need to own your identity. Speak like a queen even when your voice shakes. Think like a queen even when fear tries to creep in. Move like a queen even when you feel misunderstood, because your royalty is not a feeling, it's a fact. And once you start living from that truth, your life will begin to mirror it. The people you attract will change. The opportunities that open will reflect the energy you carry. Doors will open not because you begged, but because you aligned. This is why healing is so vital, not just so you can feel better, but so you can remember who you are. A healed queen doesn't wait to be called royalty. She wakes up and declares it. She doesn't let rejection shake her. She knows that rejection is just redirection to something greater. Her confidence is rooted in truth, not ego. Her identity is grounded in eternity, not emotion. So no matter where you are today, whether you're rebuilding, rising, or just surviving, know this: your royalty is not on pause. It's not on hold until things get better. It's alive in you right now. Speak from it, lead from it, heal from it. Because the moment you recognize your true identity, everything around you will begin to respond. You don't need the palace to prove your royalty. You just need to walk like you already know.